everyone, I'm here today with my Get Cracking on Christmas series. This is a series I do all year long where I'm trying to build up my holiday card stash so it'll be less stressful once November comes around. Today I'm using some stamps from Evelyn T Designs. This is her Good Tidings to You stamp set. I just love how adorable the little characters are. I'm also going to be using some Lawn Fawn sentiments, the Scripty Mary. I'm going to start by stamping out a couple of these fun little critters. We have a bear and a bunny hugging under a scarf, and then a snowman. I can never resist using a snowman image. I'm using Lawn Fawn's Jet Black Premium ink. This ink pad is Copic friendly, alcohol marker friendly, but also watercolor friendly. So I'm just inking that up and stamping it. I do find with the humidity of Cape Cod, I have to usually stamp it twice. And then I'm going to do some simple two-color blending with my Copic markers. Starting with E33 and E37, I'm going to color the bear. I start by putting down the shadow first, the dark color first. So I'm starting with that E37. Then I'm going in with the E33, little circles over the dark parts of the bear to blend out those two colors together. I typically do two-color blending on most of my images. I'll talk a little bit about three-color blending in a minute. And then I'm filling the rest of the bear in with E33. The bottoms of his feet, I'm coloring all E37. And then E11 on his little nose. For the bunny, I'm using E00 and E02. So I'm adding some E02 down for the shadow and then blending it out with the E00 and then filling in the rest of the bunny with just one layer of that E00. I give all kinds of tips on my website, which I have linked below, on my two-color blending. I give you a top 50 markers to start with, as well as my favorite blends for the whole rainbow. So definitely check that post out that's linked below. Colors like pink, blues, and purples, it is sometimes easier to get a nice blend using three colors. So in this case, I'm using RV14, RV13, and RV21. I'm going to color the snowman scarf the same pink as the Santa hat. And again, I always start with my dark color in the shadow, blend that out with either the second color or the medium color, and then fill in the rest of the scarf with one layer of the second color or your third color. It's very rare that I use three colors though. Sometimes on pink, sometimes on teal, and again sometimes with purples. So now I'm going to color in the scarf where the bear and the bunny are hugging. I'm going to use YG17 and YG23. I do find once I get the shadow laid down with the YG17, I'm going to go in with that YG23 and basically color right over that YG17 to blend the two together, and then fill in the center with just YG23. If it's a color that I'm having a hard time getting a contrast from, this is how I do that. Just coloring over the dark with the lighter color and then filling in the extra area with the lighter marker. Decided to do the buttons on the snowman this green as well. Super quick. And then we're going to color the carrot nose. Not a whole lot to shadow here, but I am adding a little bit of dimension with that YR24 and filling in the light with the Y38. Once I get that Y38 in, I am going to go back in one more time with that YR04 just to get a little bit more dimension. I'm using the E37 to color in the snowman's arms, his little stick arms. And now I'm going to add a little dimension to the snowman. I'm starting with B00 and I'm adding a little bit of shadow to his right side. He's facing the left, so I want the shadow to not be on the focus of his face. So I'm doing the shadow on the right side. Then I'm using B000 to blend some of that shadow out and give a little bit of dimension again on his right side. Awesome. Now that the coloring is done, I am going to fussy cut out these critters. And I know a bunch of you guys just cringed when I said fussy cut. I actually find fussy cutting relaxing sometimes. It's not something I want to do all the time for every image, but when it comes to have to fussy cut something, I actually do enjoy it. There's a lot of other things that you can do with stamp sets that might not have coordinating dies. Stamping a one-layer card, you can mask and layer images that way as well. But again, on this one, I am doing a little bit of fussy cutting. This image with the bear and the bunny is pretty easy to fussy cut out. I'm using my favorite Spring Actions scissors from Fiskars. I love how they don't really have loops for your fingers, so your fingers don't tend to cramp as much. And you can see I'm working at slowly squeezing the scissors and turning the paper with my left hand. I barely am moving those scissors at all. I've had this specific pair of scissors for well over 10 years, and I just love, love, love them. Now getting into cutting out the snowman. A lot of people might dread cutting out those little stick arms, and I would just tell you to look at them as quick, simple cuts. I'm going in between his little fingers and doing little snips on one side, then the other side, making a triangle. I'm not trying to curve my scissors around those bends because they are straight cuts. I'm really utilizing the points of my scissors to cut those easy angles out. It makes it a lot easier if you think of them that way, and not get too bogged down with, oh no, how am I going to fussy cut them? Just kind of look at them as straight lines, and it's a little bit easier to tackle. You can see I'm cutting between those fingers one more time, looking at them as little triangles where I'm doing little snips instead of focusing on a continuous cut. And there we go. We've got our little critters cut out. I'm going to set those aside. And now I'm trying to decide what frame, what pattern paper. This is a scalloped stitched frame from Lawn Fawn and some background papers from them as well. It's Into the Woods Remix. And then I'm getting out my little Altenew Blossom die cut machine. You can see I use this machine a lot to do all of my small die cutting. And I'm going to cut out the Scripty Mary from Lawn Fawn using some Snow Day pattern papers. I just love that tiny die cut machine because it's easy to pull on to my table, die cut almost everything that I need die cut, and not have to get up and down and use my machine all the time. I'm just using a paper piercer to get the Scripty Mary out of the die. It's a pattern paper, so I want to make sure I don't accidentally tear it. So I'm poking the little holes and then pressing the paper piercer underneath the pattern paper to get that out of the die. Now that I have that die cut, I'm just trying to figure out how my card layout is going to work. And I have decided I actually want to cut this background paper to only fill the frame of this craft scalloped stitched rectangle. So I'm measuring the inside of this frame to figure out what size to cut this pattern paper down by. Then I'm going to add a little bit of Lawn Fawn glue tube to the back of the frame and then adhere that pattern paper to it. I don't need a ton of adhesive, just a little bit to hold that pattern paper in place. Awesome. Got a little glue on my table. My table is made out of glass, so it's really nice for a quick, easy cleanup. So I don't know about you guys, but I cannot make a holiday card without adding sparkle. So I'm using the Quickie glue pen and Lawn Fawn Prisma glitter. I'm drawing the glue pen onto the detail of the hat. I dip it in and tap it off. Doing the same thing with the bunny tail. Having a bucket of glitter like this makes it quick and easy to add sparkle, and it doesn't need to be messy, it doesn't need to go everywhere. The Quickie glue pen dries very quick, that's why it's called Quickie glue pen. And then having a bucket of glitter to be able to just dip your images into, you're not sprinkling or making a mess everywhere. Okay, now I want to add a little sentiment from that stamp set. This says peace, love, joy, and I always have a bunch of sentiment banners already pre-cut out of white cardstock. These are Lawn Fawn sentiment banners, and I'm using Lawn Fawn jalapeno ink. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that peace, love, joy right on there. And then I'm going to use some 3M foam tape, and I apologize, this went off camera a little bit, but you will see in just a second. I call this fringe cutting, where I took my scissors, I cut down the length of the foam tape into a fringe, and then cut across. Now I have these little foam dots where I'm strategically putting them behind the chunkiest parts of my sentiment. I know that they make tiny foam dots as well, but I love to use my 3M foam tape for all the things. So the fact that I can get little pieces, long pieces, skinny pieces, chunky pieces, I just love that I'm just using that one roll of foam tape for everything. You don't need foam tape over every part of this word Mary. You just need it strategically here and there enough to pop that sentiment up. So I'm going to stick that word Mary down. I just cut my fingernails, so getting the backing off of the foam tape is a little tricky. And once I get this Mary down, the Scripty Mary, I'll be able to figure out where I want to place my sentiment banner. I'm going to start by putting some foam tape right behind where the words are on this banner, because I know that part will obviously be on the card. And I want to tuck that in underneath the Scripty Mary. And then I'm going to take my scissors and trim off the extra part of the banner. I want the little critters to sit on top of this Scripty word. I think it's going to look so cute. So I'm adding some more foam tape to them. And once we get them into place, this next part I didn't edit out on purpose. So I'm adding the critters to the top of the Mary, then I'm going to add some more foam tape to the back of my panel. I like to pop up all the things for all the dimension that I can get. So I have some strips of the 3M foam tape. And then I got my white card base out. And I'm starting to peel off the backings of the foam tape, starting to put it down, and I'm like, you know what? This looks a little too white. So I just didn't think that the panel was popping off the card nicely. So last minute decision, I decided to go in with some tumbled glass Distress Oxide. And I'm just inking in the edges of my card base. Again, having that glass tabletop makes it really nice and easy to just bring in that ink. Don't need to worry about the center. And I'm just going to do a quick wipe with my studio cloth. And then now we're almost back in session here. I decided I wanted to add a few little snowflakes. These are included in that Evelyn T Design stamp set. And I'm using some Lawn Fawn Mermaid ink. And basically I mounted the snowflakes on 2 different acrylic blocks on the front and the back, so I can just kind of stamp and flip, stamp and flip. I'm going to add a bunch of snowflakes here and there around the edges, and then once I get my panel on, I'll be able to fill in any spots that need some more snowflakes. I love how quick and easy this background is coming together. And now we're adding that panel on. And then I'm going to fill in a few more little snowflakes here and there, just to kind of fill in the spots that needed a little more snow. And again, I just wanted to keep that part in the video where I was going to put it on a white panel and be done, but then I decided, you know what, I think it needs a little bit more. And there we go. We have our Merry Peace, Love, and Joy card using the Evelyn T Designs and Lawn Fawn. And again, this is part of my Get Cracking on Christmas. Feel free to see the link to my blog post and all the supplies I used down below. And I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys. Have a good day.